Okay, good morning. We are going to be studying the book of Obadiah. Now, this is a book that I have already studied, I've already annotated all the things, but I do think that it's one that's really good to study. Now, just a little background and overview of Obadiah. The time of the writing of Obadiah is disputed, with a wide variety of proposed dates from the 10th to 5th centuries BC, depending on when the invasion and plunder of Jerusalem occurred. Obadiah 11, chapters 11 through 14, or verses 11 through 14. The two most popular views claim that Obadiah was written during the reign of Jehoram of Judah around 848 to 841 BC, or shortly after the final destruction of Jerusalem by the Babylonians in 586 BC. Obadiah was presumably the author of this book, but nothing else is known about him. His common Hebrew name, meaning servant of the Lord, is shared by at least a dozen other people in the Old Testament. Many prophetic books contain prophecies against multiple nations, but the book of Obadiah focuses exclusively on the nation of Edom. Edom was a nation descended from Esau, Jacob's twin brother, and firstborn son of Isaac. Like Amos, Obadiah's short message centers on the approaching day of the Lord, but it comes with a promise that Israel will possess the land of Edom. And how, to have a whole book written about a single nation and their demise, you have to know that they were on some wicked stuff. Message and purpose. The Lord's judgment was predicted for Edom because of its arrogance in trusting geographical security, diplomatic treaties, and the counsel of its famed wise men. So we're going to get into their judgment as well as why, what they did to deserve such a harsh judgment instead of the true God of Israel. Obadiah spoke of the nearness of the day of the Lord, which you can reference in Isaiah 13 and 6, Joel 1 and 15, Zephaniah 1 and 7 and 14, focusing on the darkness and gloom of the Lord's wrath. Isaiah 13 6 through 13, Joel 2 1 through 3, and Zephaniah 1 7 through 18, and 2 and 2. Obadiah also emphasized the dual nature of the day of the Lord. It would bring judgment on the historical nation Edom, and Edom as symbolic of Israel's enemies, while at the same time bringing salvation for the nation of Israel, which is referenced in Joel 2 30 and 32, Zephaniah 2 1 through 10, and 3 8 through 16. So let's get into it. So this one starts with a timeline. So Edom commits hostilities against Judah. This is 586, Obadiah's prophecy of the destruction of Judah. And so a little before that, Edom becomes Judah's ally in resisting the Babylonians. So I guess at one time they were a united front, and things did not stay that way. The vision of Obadiah. Edom's certain judgment. This is what the Lord God has said about Edom. We have heard a message from the Lord. An envoy, and I had to look up that word, I have the definition, a minister plenipotentiary accredited to a foreign government who ranks between an ambassador and a minister resident, has been sent among the nations. So to give them a message, rise up and let's go to war against her. Edom, her being Edom. Look, I will make you insignificant among the nations. You will be deeply despised. Your arrogant heart has deceived you. You who live in the clefts of the rock. And it says probably Petra. So Petra means rock. It's the capital city of Nabatean Arabs and located about 60 miles north of the Gulf of Ayaba. In your home on the heights, who say to yourself, who can bring me down to the ground? Though you seem so to soar or to build high like an eagle. So this is referenced a lot in the prophets, about people who are building their nations high in the mountains or high on the cliffs and the rocks and everything like that, because they figure if we build our homes high enough, nobody can come up and attack us. It'll be harder for people to come up. Therefore, we can see them coming. We can see them trekking up a mountain or up whatever they have built their nation on. And we'll have enough time to defend ourselves, forgetting that who is above you, who can knock you down the mountain. You forget that. And make your nest among the stars. Even from there I will bring you down. This is the Lord's declaration. They may fly high, but Yah, the Lord of armies, can shoot them out the sky like a bird. He's above them. They forget that. Like, people feel like, and I can equate this to people who feel like they are just so high above everyone else. They're just so high and mighty that nobody can knock them down, right? Wrong. No, God will knock you down. He will knock you off your high horse, knock you off your pedestal. So this is what that makes me think of. If thieves came to you, if martyrs, people who roam about and raid in search of plunder by night, how ravaged you would be. Wouldn't they steal only what they wanted? If grape harvesters came to you, wouldn't they leave a few grapes? How Esau will be pillaged, his hidden treasures, because you cannot hide anything. If God wants people to go and plunder a nation, they will find everything that is hidden. Why and how? Because he will tell them. He will tell them. Searched out. Everyone who has a treaty with you will drive you to the border. So this is talking about when it referenced here, the diplomatic treaties. Yes, everyone who is in agreement with them will drive them to the border. They will come in and take over their land. They will not have any allies, which kind of makes me think of the United States and like the treaties that we have with other nations, and the, these treaties being torn up and thrown into the wind. I don't know why that came to mind, but that's just what it made me think of. Everyone at peace with you will deceive and conquer you. Again, makes me think of the United States. Those who eat your bread will set a trap for you and they will set your bread as a trap for you. He will be unaware of it in that day. This is the Lord's declaration. So it'll come by surprise, like a thief in the night. Will I not eliminate the wise ones of Edom and those who understand from the hill country of Esau? Timon, which is a region or city in Edom, your warriors will be terrified, so that everyone from the hill country of Esau will be destroyed by slaughter. So imagine the people who are supposed to fight for you are terrified. And this has been brought up too in the Bible many times about the warriors or whoever who's supposed to go into battle being terrified. They shouldn't be going into battle. But imagine you have, let's take America for example. You have the army or the Navy or whoever, the military. They're supposed to be going into battle, right? And they get scared. You do not want someone going into battle for you who is afraid, because what's going to happen? They're going to lose and you're going to die. That's, yeah. So they can't defend you. They can't defend themselves. They can't defend you. Edom sins against Judah. You will be covered with shame and destroyed forever because of violence done to your brother Jacob. So your shame will be exposed to everybody, for everybody to know. They will pay for their sins against Israel. On the day you stood aloof, on the day strangers captured his wealth or forces, while foreigners entered his city gate and cast lots for Jerusalem, you were just like one of them. Just because you were standing there, not necessarily doing anything or partaking in the activities, you are just as guilty because you did not assist. You just stood there looking stupid, stood aloof as if you had no idea what was going on. Oh no, they're being attacked. They're taking all of their treasures. You're just as guilty. Do not, or you should not, gloat over your brother in the day of his calamity. So the fact that Israel was being plundered and taken over, Edom was just standing there enjoying it. That's like enjoying someone who is getting beat up. Do not rejoice over the people of Judah in the day of their destruction. So don't take joy in their downfall, gleeful that they're being attacked. Do not boastfully mock or make your mouth big in the day of distress, mocking someone while they're down. Do not enter my people's city gate in the day of their disaster. So you see that these people are being infiltrated by another nation. Don't go in there trying to take all their treasures, adding more salt to the wound. Don't take this as your opportunity. Like people who riot, there are other people, like during a riot or a protest, people will loot. Yeah, don't do that. Don't be that person. It's not just America, it's legal lawyers and they're a oppressive force. Oh no, I wholeheartedly get that, but because I live in America, that's just what it automatically made me think of. Anytime I'm reading it, it's just like this sounds just like America. Like I know there are other nations, countries that are it could be talking about, but it just automatically makes me think of America. Yes, you do not gloat over their misery in the day of their disaster, and do not appropriate their possessions, taking their possessions for yourself and doing what have you. In the day of their disaster, do not stand at the crossroads to cut off their fugitives. So don't try to block the people who are trying to escape. Let them leave. Don't try to sit there and keep them from escaping so that they can meet their demise just like everybody else. And do not hand over their survivors in the day of distress. So those who are left behind, don't hand them over to the enemy. However, that's what they did. And that's why they're being judged. For the day of the Lord is near against all the nations, not just one. Every nation will be judged. As you have done, it will be done to you. What you deserve will return on your own head. As you have drunk on my holy mountain, so all the nations will drink continually. So everything that they did will be done to them tenfold. They will drink and gulp down and be as though they had never been, unrecognizable. But there will be a deliverance on Mount Zion, and it will be holy. The house of Jacob will dispossess those who dispossessed them, so they will take back their inheritance. Then the house of Jacob will be a blazing fire, and the house of Joseph a burning flame, but the house of Esau will be stubble. Jacob will set them on fire and consume Edom. Therefore, no survivor will remain for the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken. So nobody will be left in Edom. He will have nobody left. They're all going to be gone. Completely wipe them out because of their wicked ways. Like, honestly, if you think of, let's just use their names, Esau and Jacob. You have two siblings, right? And you have one who was watching the other be completely demolished, just standing on the sidelines. You're just as guilty by watching and not helping him out. That's your brother. But you're watching him being beaten. You're watching him having all his things taken from him, having his house taken from him, just everything. You're watching his demise from the sidelines and just mocking, like, yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get. And it's like, are you still mad that he tricked you with the soup? Are we still mad about that? I know that's a low blow, but hey, it is what it is. Future blessing for Israel. People from the Negev, or which is a dry and arid region in southern Palestine, will possess the hill country of Esau. Those from the Judean foothills will possess the land of the Philistines. They, or Israel, will possess the territories of Ephraim and Samaria, while Benjamin will possess Gilead. The exiles of the Israelites who are in Halah, or the host of the Israelites. So wherever they were exiled to, the country that was hosting the people who had left, and who are among the Canaanites as far as Zarephath, as well as the exiles of Jerusalem who are in Sepharad, will possess the cities of Negev. Saviors, or those who have been delivered, will ascend Mount Zion to rule over the hill country of Esau, and the kingdom will be the Lord's. All of this because you were mad that you were hungry and your brother told you that he wanted your birthright in order for you to get the soup that he was making. And now look at what happened to you and your descendants and your nation and all the cities of your nation. Now look what happened. And this is like, seriously, if someone wrongs you, this is like holding a grudge for a long time. And then when it comes to the day of judgment, God's going to be like, no, I never knew you. That's also what this makes me think of. We should not be holding grudges against people because this is the ramifications of that. The person that you're holding a grudge against, they're going to be blessed regardless. They've let it go, but you're still holding on to that hurt. You're holding on to that anger. And for what? It's not going to do you any good. But I thank y'all for joining me. I cannot really see the comments unless they like pop up and then they disappear before I can read them. So I'll try to respond to the comments once the video is uploaded. But thank y'all for joining me in reading Obadiah.